And yeah, we are like on the thing. We are
Are we
live.
on the thing?
We are.
We're on the thing.
I feel like it's.
We're live.
I think I think it's Sam Sater that says, "Yeah, I don't know how this works." When he does his ads and stuff at the end of his videos and stuff, and I'm like, can anybody hear me?
Hope so. Hope so. I think we're all right.
Yeah, I think we should be fine. There's you know before we even started, we already got 2 thumbs up and 2 thumbs down.
Awesome.
That's so odd that you should like. I'm pretty sure the YouTube algorithm just doesn't care whether it's a thumbs down or it's not. Hi, Yvette. Yvette is in the chat.
Okay.
And like I don't think it cares, right? It's just a question of
interaction.
Interaction, yeah. So yes. So why don't you go ahead and let me introduce, because you never.
Oh,
yeah. This is Dr. Kristie Winters.
Hello.
Whether you like it or not, you know, there's a doctorate.
Yeah, it is my title. I mean, I don't drop it into conversations. I kind of dust it off for political science related stuff because that's what I do. But it is my title. Yes.
Yeah. No, I do the same. Like I don't mention it unless we're talking about literature or postmodernism or like the stuff that I study.
Yeah. Yeah. But like, I worked for it, so I'm going to use that damn thing. I put a lot of effort into earning that title.
Yeah. I mean, it's like don't is. Well, that's another story for a different day. We have to talk about this stuff. We really, because it's 8 years of funny stuff that I've got. So yes, you're gonna talk a little bit about as I call it, Shitcon, because it's a bunch of shitlords. Right? So Shitcon.
That's what it turned. That's what. Well, to be fair, from the videos that I've seen, that's what it looked like. But of course, a lot of that comes from the Sargon session, and that was definitely the shitlord session of the conference. I think Godless Engineer put up a video saying, you know, there were other good things going on at the conference, not just Sargon. And I was like, yeah, it's like saying, hey, why are you guys talking about this house that's on fire when there's this perfectly good outhouse that's not on fire? That's kind of how I looked at it.
Yeah, it's like well, they get good health care. It's a death camp.
Yeah,
they're yanking their teeth out. It's not good health.
Yeah, I mean, you could concentrate on the less controversial aspects of MythCon, but the whole thing was generally a shit show.
Yeah, people went to sleep. Yes, and they got up in the morning. Yes, let's talk about that instead of So this other stuff, right? This joke stuff. Tell me about this joke stuff, because this is awesome, I think.
Which joke stuff? Well, sorry, you have to do the lead in. You'll have to do the background for people and then segue it a bit.
For normal people. For the quote unquote normies.
I call them for people who have lives outside of YouTube.
Yes, for people who have lives, yes. If you're a normie, the idea is that Kakistan is I left a comment on this guy's video. And I said something like, well, you wanted a culture, you have a culture.
Yeah.
And you wanted to be oppressed, now you're oppressed. Congratulations.
Yeah, Sargon wanted to lead a collectivist state.
Yeah. And so this is supposed to be a joke, but it's not a joke. And this is, the guy says this, so Fain says this. It's not a joke if you had to explain it.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you got to keep telling me, oh, well, this is we're ironic Nazis.
Well, it just reminds me of, for people who actually use the phrase Black Lives Matter, and people want to take that and turn it into, you're saying only Black Lives Matter. Like, no, that's not what we're saying. And so these things are contested. And the fact is they lost the war on what that flag means, because when people look at it, they see an adapted Nazi flag. They don't see irony. And they see people, to be honest, behaving in ways that who use that flag, they purposely go out to insult and bully people and intimidate them and tell them that they should shut up and go away. So they're doing the same intimidation tactics as people who are on the alt-right do to suppress dissent and people who are working against oppression. So the parallels are there, and it's not difficult to see why people, when they come in and they look at it, they see it, and they see it for what it is. There's a reason why, sorry to go on a rant, but Richard Spencer said that that Sargon Milo are good entryways, because you know what? They make it fashionable to bully people. And then what the alt-right does is just expand that pool to include a racial discourse. Because the other elements of it, the misogyny elements, the Islamophobia, are already there in Sargon and Milo. So that's what that flag stands for.
Well, for me, the thing of it is that when you're going to complain to me, see, this is like I sometimes
to be fair, just can I point out, he didn't complain to me. He made a video. He didn't like, we're in contact on Twitter. We've interacted on Twitter, but he never contacted me through DMs or in any way approached me. He just made a video. So I mean, that was his choice, but he didn't complain to me.
You know, he mentions you in the video. It's smacked of to be honest, that I got a black friend thing.
Okay.
I thought we were cool. Like, well, clearly not. At least, you know, it seems from the outside that, you know, maybe not so much.
I mean, if he would have come to me and said, hey, I had disavowed this stuff, I was there as a joke, can you blur out my face? Yeah, I would have had that conversation. I would have had that conversation.
And that would have been totally doable. I mean, I spend my time in Photoshop and other things. That's not an issue. But the problem is that if you want to look, it happened at VidCon too, right?
Yeah.
A total non-issue with one of their own, and they live streamed for a couple of hours, and you know they shit all over that woman with the hair, crazy hair, right?
Oh yeah.
And you know, it's a nothing thing, right? It really is. It doesn't.
It's drama between people.
Yeah, and it's one of these things where the problem is you're really just not a fucking grown up. You're not. You know, I've had people tell me, "Oh, the sites, you know, you plagiarize stuff on your website." I'm like, dude, it's an aggregator site. Everybody knows it. It's essentially a glorified news feed. Is essentially what a Akkadian Times is.
It's a centralizer of a particular type of news, so that people can go and find all the news related to those issues.
Yeah, and it's fucking insanity to think that anyone is going to actually sit down and write, on average, like 200 articles a day on everything from science topics to other topics. Everybody knows this, but you're a child and you complain about it like a child. And I don't mean this guy. I mean some guy that left a comment on the on the site, not this guy. Right. Let's be clear. I don't even know this guy, and I don't know. He seems. I don't know the guy. But the problem is, I'm a dad. I got 5 kids. You know what I've told all of my kids, and I tell them every so often, so it sticks. It matters. It absolutely matters, and I don't like it all the time, but it is the truth, right? I grew up in a ghetto, and I grew up assiduously avoiding the kids on the corner that hung out all day after school. I avoided them. Why? Because sometimes the cops would roll up on them, and this is me at 7 and 8 years old. You know, and that's just the bottom line of how the world works. I'm sorry you don't like it. Some people are like, well, yeah, but the ideas have already been tried and tested. You know, these white supremacist ideas, we've been through this.
It's why I reject people who want to defend the Confederate flag. The only Confederate flag you should fly is a white flag of surrender.
Yeah.
You know, you can't reclaim that into some sort of identity pride other than white supremacy. That's what that flag stands for.
Yeah,
it always will, because that's what it was. Yeah, that's what it's tied to.
And that's just it. I'm a dad, and I've told my kids it matters who you hang out with. You know, if that guy's doing this or that, and it's, you know, it's illegal or it's gonna get you in trouble, or you think it's not a good idea, you don't fucking hang out with that kid, because people are going to assume. I mean, and I don't know what the Pakistani problem is, because they want to be oppressed, right? They're always talking about how they they are that they're tongue firmly in cheek for some of them. They think, well, you're oppressing the green people, and oh well, yeah, well, you know what? Now I guess at least now you have some claim to say that mainstream society hates you. And
the whole point of the Kekistani flag is to mock people's having a sense of identity that and to mock group oppression and systematic racism and systematic misogyny. I mean, that's the whole point of the flag. It's not, you don't see the Kekistani flag on the side of people marching against the Klan. You see it with people who claim, free speech rights for everything, including fascist speech. That's what, and you see, again and again, it turns up at those, radical free speech rallies when they were still having them. Now they've gone offline because they don't like the counter protests. But yeah, you can't just, I mean, I understand where you could say, I'm going to take this and it means this to me, but you can't divorce it from what everybody else perceives that thing to be.
Well, that's just the thing with that's what they. I've been doing some rereading on the stuff that I did in college on propaganda and stuff like that. And I'm like, you know what? That's essentially what you have to try and do all the time, is try to divorce these things, because it used to be white. What was it? White genocide. Now it's got a new name. I forget what the name.
The Great Replacement.
Thank you. The Great Replacement. And you're talking about, it's a Nazi flag. You made it green.
Yeah. You're talking about white genocide. You're just calling it the Great Replacement. You're just changing the language, but you're meaning the same things. It's still the same racist discourse.
Yeah.
It's still bigoted discourse.
Yeah. And it's like, part of my issue is like, okay, you have the right to say what you want within the bounds of the law. And I'm okay with that. I don't have a thing, like, I don't like it personally when some people say something or some derogatory term to someone else. Me, I'm kind of, I've been online for so long that, like, I've heard it all, or almost all, right? They've got to come up with some new ones, because I'm getting bored of the insults.
Yeah. Oh,
but I don't
yeah.
like it. But I don't like it when they do it to other people. But what the fuck does it cost you? Right? I mean, it's like, I have to keep coming back to this, right? Sometimes, every so often, I'll see a flash and then I'll stomp it right the hell out in my kids. I see this flash of not caring or not paying attention to what's going on. And I'm like, yeah. Because the rule for us is, you can say any word you want, any racial slur you heard, anything, because I want to know what you're reading. I want to know what you're looking at online. And, that's a good way to do that, right? To just let you talk about, the video games you're playing online and stuff, and the people you're chatting with. So the rule is, they can say anything, big chick, all those slurs, anything, motherfucker, shit, fuck, all of that. As long as you understand that when you walk out that front door, you are now in a civilization. Like, you are now, you have to interact with people. And now you have the responsibility to control what you say. And I have yet to have any issue with any of my kids on that score, right? No teacher has called up to me, has called me up to say they have a potty mouth or this or that, because they know better. They know that it matters what you say, who you say it to, and they know that there are grown-up words that you can't get to, that you can't say, you don't get to say them. And they know that at home it's all right, but we'll talk about why you should not why you can't, but why you should not. So I'm like pretty free speechy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like pretty free speechy. But look, it's not that you can say what you want. You can make the Nazi jokes if you want. That's okay. Do that. In the grown-up world, just like you want to profile Muslims and keep them all out of the country based on the fact that there's a few of them that might want to bomb you, right? You profile all of them. Hell, you put their country's name on a list of people you don't like that can't come to your country. That happens here too. You're Kekistani, yeah, I don't want anything to do with you. And this guy, he might be a very nice guy. I don't know the guy. He might not believe any of that shit. You know what you do? Don't take a picture with those motherfuckers. I'm just saying. It might not
circulated all over Twitter. I mean, it's not like this was, you know, I mean, it was out in public. It was out and about.
Yeah, and so I suppose they take issue with your interpretation of what this whole meme shit really
I provide all the links to all of the sources documenting different articles and different, you know, mainstream newspapers and coverage of this being presented as part of the alt-right and alt-right. I mean, it's out there. Again, this is outside the bubble. People see it for what it is, kind of thing.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. It's like I keep seeing the shitlords and the Kekistani people telling me it's a joke. It's a joke. Well, you know who doesn't think it's a joke? Like the SPLC people don't think it's a joke. Yep. Twitter doesn't seem to think it's a joke. They got rid of Milo and they got rid of Carl, and Facebook doesn't think it's a joke because they got rid of a bunch of people. And yeah, the rest of the fucking world is on a different page than you are. I'm sorry, you're like a little kid. You're like a little kid that, you know, shits all over everything, smears it all over the place, and then says, "Mommy, Daddy, look what I did." Yes, look what you did.
I just sat on a xylophone.
You sat on my xylophone.
Now there's a phrase you don't hear every day.
I just sat on a xylophone. Hi, Kristie.
Hi. Z is for I just sat on a xylophone.
Yeah, exactly.
So we were just talking about the Kekistani stuff.
Oh yeah, and
how they think it's a joke. And,
well, and how they want to use it to, you know, like destroy surveys by replying that they're a minority because they're Kekistani when the British government are trying to solicit discrimination experiences from LGBT people because Carl retweeted the survey. You know, I mean, so they want to have their cake and eat it too.
It's ridiculous. Like I watched the video by Fain, and he's all upset and everything, and I'm like, dude, just choose better friends. Don't stand with a Kekistan flag. Like I don't know how hard this is for you.
Make better fucking life choices.
But if I was somewhere and someone like unrolled a Kekistan flag, I'd be like, yeah, okay, I'm leaving. You know, like,
yeah, it's you know, here. You know what it is? Here, don't resist arrest.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What it is. You keep telling black people and Hispanic people not to fight back, to just let the cops do their job because it's a very hard job and blah, 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 blah.
And not to hang out with thugs.
And don't hang out with those thugs. Well, motherfucker, don't hang out with those thugs.
Yeah.
Those Kekistani thugs. Oh my God, I can't even...
Yeah. Like, I don't, just for the record, I don't have anything against either Fat Pat or Fain, but, you know, actions, you know, have consequences, and I think you guys are making that point. And so I don't have anything personal against them. I'm not mad at them. I'm not going to come out against their video. He can express that. That's fine. But so, like, that's where I am with that.
Yeah, yeah. No, but I get it. Like, you know, you can't have your cake and eat it too, right? Like, you can't. Look, he says in the video, right, you know, I'm a liberal, I'm, you know, such a liberal, this, that, and the other, and everything. Okay, fine, great. That's, you know, what you call yourself. That's awesome. But your actions, however, and the people you're hanging around with is not, you know, that doesn't tell me that you're a liberal or a progressive or whatever the hell you want to call yourself.
Yeah, you can hang out with anyone you want and still hate their guts.
Yeah.
You know, Beach says it's a joke that got co-opted. The real racists outflanked them and they have egg on their face.
Yeah.
Well, and that's part of the issue, right? Okay, maybe.
Oh, that was the other thing that he was saying though in the video. He's like, well, when it's a joke, but you have to keep explaining the joke that it's not a joke anymore. It's like, really, Columbo?
No. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, no.
David Schardt said if you have to keep explaining your joke is satire, then you're not really doing satire, or your satire is shit.
Then you're not doing it right.
Yeah, you're not doing it right. Exactly. And it was a shitty, whatever, quote unquote joke from the beginning.
Right. It's meant to mock oppression.
Yeah.
Well, but the thing, and look, the thing is, see, here, and I understand.
And now they're being oppressed, and they don't like it.
And now they're being oppressed. They don't like it. Look,
well, they're being held to account to what it stands for.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, I understand it in a weird way, you know, that these guys, you know, they really want to defend free speech and everything and all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm good with that. I'm fine with that, and like I said, I don't have to like it to be my preferred thing,
Mm-hmm.
but if as long as it's legal, as long as you're not hurting nobody. And by that, I mean to include psychologically, right? I mean, you know, you don't want to drive someone to suicide, which does freaking happen. No.
By the way,
okay
I think it was Fat Pat who was upset, not so Fain.
Oh, is it? I have no idea. I don't know either.
Fain looked very upset in his video.
Okay. Well, he hasn't talked to me. Fat Pat, I think, tweeted at me something like, "What the fuck?" as an opener. And then I think I was like, "Well, that's the picture."
I saw the So Fain video. Yeah, he's pretty upset. But again, you know, it's like you want your cake and you want to be able to eat it too, and it doesn't work that way. I'm sorry. Like, you know, even my kids get this basic idea. Don't hang around with, you know, undesirable people if you don't want to be lumped in with them. I mean, I'm sorry.
I get it. I get that you want to defend free speech. I get that.
Well, that's the funny part about free speech. Because he's upset about the article that Kristie wrote, right? He goes on at length about this article and everything. He's like, well, we're going to have to do something. You know, there's repercussions to your actions. And I'm like, wait a minute. You're for free speech, but you don't like that Kristie wrote something
mean about you.
Yeah, sourced. Highly sourced.
Highly sourced.
That was,
Oh, I see how this works.
Gray Knight is in the chat. He asks, is Captain Pointy Glasses going to be making an appearance on this hangout? No, but I would be more than happy to interview him. If he ever hears this, if he
Captain
gives a shit,
Pointy Glasses.
Captain, I promise.
Who is that?
So Fain, because he's got those the studs around his like goggles and on his hat.
I promise not to call him Captain Pointy Glasses.
Like I said, I'm not holding any grudge against those guys. I know they're upset, and that's fine. I acknowledge that they're upset.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I'm not angry at them in return.
No.
Yeah. I'm sorry, you were saying?
No, that was it.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
I don't even know these two dudes. I mean, and I kind of could care less, actually. I'm doing this because
but don't forget the narrative is going to be that we're upset, that we're triggered.
Of course it is. It always is. It's always a joke. You never get it. It's never. You said something stupid, and I mentioned you said something stupid, and now you're mad.
Yeah.
Also, this is a super niche problem because the only person that is listed in the photo and actually has a circle around him is Carl.
Yeah.
Nobody else. I mean, there's Chris Reagan is in there, and there's a ton of people.
Mundane Matt. Yeah. And that the guy with the red hair. What's his face? Computing Forever or whatever.
Computing Forever is in there, and I was like, I don't list any of them. I don't list Fat Pat either. So the only way that somebody would have to be part of this bubble and go to that article and recognize him and not know that he already hangs out next to a Kekistani flag.
Yeah, I mean, it's so silly. Really, like, how to draw more attention to the fact that you're in a picture with a Kekistani.
Yeah, pretty much.
Maybe you shouldn't have said anything. I don't know.
Maybe you shouldn't have.
Listen, Gray Knight in the chat says, I got into it in the comment section with him. He was more invested in declaring all leftists to be communists by way of reprisal than admitting that white nationalists have co-opted their little flag.
Oh, but that's his little. I don't know if you watched the video, Green Knight, but that's his thing now.
No,
he wants to label all leftists as communists in retaliation for Kristie pointing out that a bunch of people who were actually in a picture next to a Kekistani flag is the same thing some
I guess
I don't know.
I guess if you Photoshop me into a picture with Lenin and Stalin,
Yeah,
then,
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, I've been photoshopped. I've been photoshopped as Hitler on Twitter.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I've seen some of the photoshops.
Well, to be fair, I photoshopped Donald Trump as
Yeah, but
as
that's Trump.
Hitler.
That's Trump. You're like. But it strikes me as hilarious how in his video, right, he's like, well, how about I just call them all communists? Okay, first of all, it doesn't even follow, because see, there's a picture, a literal picture with all of you guys there next to a Kyrgyzstani flag, so that is saying that you're actually doing something, that you're involved in something here,
he
right?
says in the video they're his friends.
But to then just try to paint everyone as a communist without any sort of evidence to that claim, how the hell are those the same thing? You know?
Yeah,
and
there
go
was
ahead
a
and
picture.
sorry,
of me wrapped in a Soviet flag kissing Che Guevara's picture. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, then go ahead. Call Kristie. And by the way,
I'm sorry, that struck me as funny. I'm sorry.
And by the way, if
That's
that
why
were the case, I don't think Kristie would mind if you called her a communist, you know?
Exactly, because there would be photo evidence.
Exactly, you know, and this is so silly, because he's like, well, how about I call every one of them a communist? And I'm sitting there thinking, so call me a communist. I don't care what Senor Pointy Glasses says.
I have to say, I am somewhat familiar. I've spoken a couple of times with Peter Coffin.
Yeah.
Who strikes me as not a capitalist at all.
No.
I don't think that he would be like, oh, yep, Joe's a commie.
Yeah, like
I'm kind of not a commie. You can say it if you want, but you know.
Yeah, so now, just so you know, like that's gonna be his thing from now on, right? Calling everyone a communist, which is really like weak sauce. Like
he's really
we get called worse every day. We get called way worse.
After the whole Kyrgyzstan joke and meme thing, calling us communists, that's really weak sauce. Like
that's really
you've slid down the hill.
Look, I don't know.
Yeah, again, I don't see how the logic follows from here. I am in a picture with a symbol tied to alt-light and alt-right ideology.
Yeah.
And now you've done something documenting that. So because you're accurate, I'm going to call people a false name.
Yeah, like it's so stupid. It really is.
Let's see.
So I know we want to talk about. Shitcon, but also wanted to know if you wanted to talk about the go. Sorry, I'm getting some feedback on your end, which is probably showing up in.
Here, wait. Let me move this.
But I also want to know if you, wanted to talk about the Godless Engineer and ours exchange that you guys enjoyed so much. We could also talk about that if you want. But just to make sure we talk about Shitcon.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so let's do the Godless. Why don't you fill people in who don't know what's going on?
Right. So as well, for people who are watching, they probably know, but for people, again, who have lives outside of YouTube, there was a conference that happened in Milwaukee on September 30th. It featured Carl, and I was highly critical of putting on stage somebody who has abused people online in the past and doxed people and done a lot of terrible things. Now, the conference organizers were already kind of playing crisis management on that PR thing, because speakers had dropped out of the conference as a consequence of Sargon being appearing. And then inexplicably, well, not inexplicably, but it was kind of a weird happenstance that Amos Yee, I believe, was detained in Wisconsin, like in Dane County, or anyway, he was near the Chicago area when, I think it was on Wednesday, he received his asylum in the United States so that he can't be extradited back to Singapore to face charges because he might face persecution under the Singapore government based on his offensive speech on religion. And they found out about this, I guess, and had a contact, and he was going to come to the conference. He wasn't going to appear at the conference, but they had a pinned tweet with his picture saying "Free Amos Yee" on their Twitter feed. And this is the same Amos Yee who made comments about children's ability to consent to sex. Now, I heard about it from Danny Kortz. He was the one who had said, "Isn't this the same Amos Yee?" And then I wrote them a tweet with a quote sort of summarizing his position on consensual sex on behalf of children. He, in a video later, sort of specified 14 and 15. 14 is still too young. That's a child. Anyway, So I asked them if their organization supports that, and Godless Engineer, who is their sort of pit bull, because he's the one who always comes and talks to me about the things that I'm pointing out about their organization and what they're standing with. He asserted that I was, first he challenged it, saying, do I have a source for that? And then Kristie jumped in on it, and she said, yeah, we have sources for that. And I provided Andy Worski's scathing video against Amos Yee on precisely this issue.
Yeah.
And then Godless Engineer said that video was made before Yee had issued a retraction. And so I was spreading propaganda. And because I had done the research and I wanted to make sure to know whether or not he had done a retraction, and I couldn't find any evidence of any, I asked, citation needed, because I've looked and I can't find it. And Kristie also said, I would like to see this evidence as well. And we had a bit of a back and forth. His next position after it was retracted was, it was on Twitter, and when his Twitter account was deleted, it was deleted, so he didn't have the retraction.
Yeah.
And then it went back farther to saying that he heard it from somebody. And that's how he knew that Yee had issued a retraction, and that person had been on the phone with Yee, and that person on the phone with Yee told him he had issued a retraction. Then Mythicist Milwaukee issued a tweet. Sorry, I'll just do the timeline. Mythicist Milwaukee issued a tweet saying that Yee had made those comments as a minor and that he had retracted them. And then they issued a formal statement saying that they had talked to Amos Yee. He was not willing to issue a retraction for his statement, that is outside of the bounds of what they consider free speech and dialogue. So not only was they were saying, we're disassociating ourselves, they said they weren't even going to let him in the building. And when that came out, Godless Engineer said I should have asked for more information, and somebody else asked if he shouldn't apologize, considering he accused me of spreading propaganda when he was the one who was spreading propaganda. And he absolutely refused to do so because he doesn't like me and Fifi's.
And Fifi's.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is, after all this happened, I was looking for videos on MythCon, right? Because I wanted to see, like, if anyone had uploaded like full talks and stuff like that. And I came across this MythCon interview with Amos Yee, and this is by the Existentialists. And in it, he's interviewing Amos Yee, who got kicked out of MythCon. Blah, 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 as Kristie said, right? And they talk about, like, the tweets that Amos had put out there about having sex with minors,
infants consenting because they're not screaming or something.
And in this video, he's like, no, I refuse to retract anything I've written. He's like, I stand by it. Like, he's very adamant about not retracting anything. So yeah, there you go. That's in his own words. And it's right there, the existentialist. But not just that, he didn't. And what's funny is in this interview, he's like, I was talking about 14-year-olds, blah blah blah, having sex, and I'm sitting there going, wow, you're such a liar, because I have screenshots of you saying even infants can consent,
as long as because screaming and you look at them and something.
They have a way of being able to consent when you. Way they coo and they giggle and oh my god, it was like one of the most revolting things I had ever read. So not only is it 14-year-olds, it's infants. And I will let everyone now vomit.
See, here's the thing about jokes like this, right?
Well,
if it's a joke, right? If we say, all right, well, let's give him the benefit of the doubt and assume he's actually a part of the human race, rather than something which I can't describe adequately, and that's weird for me. Let's give you the benefit of the doubt. You're making a joke. It is the most unfunny fucking joke ever.
Yeah.
It's like when I saw that picture of that little boy who had drowned off the coast of Greece. He was on a Greek beach.
Yeah.
And some asshole put a Pepe the Frog face on the kid.
Yeah. And they were like, that was a meme.
And that was a meme for a while. And I'm like, okay, I understand you're a shitheel that isn't really fit to be part of society. I understand that we should just give you a basement and an unlimited supply of Mountain Dew and Cheetos. I understand that. but you should not be able to upload this shit onto the internet. It's not a joke. That's the point, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole point of this thing, right? But we're just joking. It's not a joke if you say it that many fucking times.
Yeah, that's what I was saying about the whole Fain Kekistan thing, you know, like really.
Well, that's the thing. And if you're gonna double down on, you know, sex with kids, then yeah, I kind of don't want to be hanging out with you, you know.
Yeah, it's so gross.
Color me weird.
And that was how the conference started.
Yeah, that was how.
And it went downhill from there.
Can I just ask, out of curiosity, why Armored Skeptic looks like a character out of Willy Wonka?
Well, leave Armored Skeptic alone.
He's got the little bow tie and
leave Armored Skeptic alone.
I'm sorry. He looks really funny.
Like he's like I think he's like an actual like cosplayer. Like he does like, you know.
Does he? Or does he have bad taste in clothing?
Well, at least the vest. He got a new vest. The vest he had in some pictures was just like puckered because it was so tight. So it was good that he had a new vest.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm being mean, but you know, whatever.
Okay, whatever.
No, whatever.
You know, so there.
Yeah.
So there was that.
So there was that.
Because then they cheered when Carl, I think it was Carl that mentioned that. That I
wouldn't even rape you.
That he
Thomas apparently. So I listened to Thomas's. I became a patron of his through Patreon and listened to his podcast talk with Tom from Cognitive Dissonance about what happened. They had a 30-minute program, and he was saying it was actually Thomas was describing, kind of leading up, describing who Jess was and what she was doing, the context of it, and then he quoted the line and the audience cheered, and then he said every other time. People will hear it or see it when the video comes out. When he would say that to criticize Carl for tweeting that at her, the audience would boo him for bringing it up. Yeah, so classy people.
It's funny because, you know, like, first of all, I want to put my position out there. Like, as far as rape threats go, I agree it wasn't a rape threat. Okay, that was not a rape threat. It was harassment. It was harassment, and we can even go so far as to say it was like abusive towards Jess Phillips, because she is a rape survivor, right?
Yeah.
And sexual assault.
Oh, sexual assault. Sorry. But yeah, she you know, she went through that, and so like, I know it's not I'm gonna rape you, bitch, or whatever. You know, like, it's not an actual threat. But what you're doing is you're mocking someone who, you know, went through that.
Well, look,
whether or not you want to admit it, and Carl doesn't want to admit it, right? Well, but people who are saying, you know, well, it wasn't a rape threat. No, well, you're right. It wasn't a rape threat. It was him. Yeah. It was him trying to upset someone who is a survivor of, you know, that type of thing. And that I find really shitty.
Can I come in on this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to say, and then sorry, because there's a really good article written, and I've linked it before. It's called "I Wouldn't Even Rape You: A Feminist Analysis," and I can't remember the name of the author now, and I feel really bad. It's like Idle something, but it's like an internet handle, not a real person. I think that's why it's escaping me. Maybe Idle Dilettante. But her point in that article is, when you say I wouldn't even rape you, it's a way for Carl as a man to bring up rape with a woman, and bring up the menace of rape and the threat of rape while still denying you're doing it. Yeah, I'm telling her I wouldn't even rape her. It's a compliment. I'm telling her she should feel safe around me. No, what you're doing is you're introducing the concept of rape to the conversation while trying to implant some sort of plausible deniability. That's so obvious. You know, you could have said anything. If you say I wouldn't even burn your house down, it's meant you then think of arson. You know?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing.
I hadn't actually thought of it in that way. So, like, you know, like, I see it like I see the point of that, right? Yeah. And that is understandable. So,
well, but look, here's the thing, though. First, let me let me quibble just a little bit.
Word nerd here.
Yes. But this is not about words. This is about this is about gender, actually.
Really? Oh.
Yes. Right. The idea that Carl is a man is offensive to me.
And all actual men out there.
And all, yeah, there are men and there are males. Carl is ostensibly male, I assume so.
I haven't checked and I don't want to.
I don't know. I'll take his word for it on that. But man, no. See, because men, if I have a problem with your political position,
Wait. Can I just say men don't play around with Kekistani flags?
Yes, men don't. I'm sorry, but men cosplay on Halloween and at weddings.
And perhaps if they go hunting on occasion.
Perhaps if they go hunting. Yeah. Just gonna put that out there. It's okay if you do. I'm not looking down on you. I'm just saying that when I hear the word men, right? The picture that comes into my mind are people, and this of course is biased, right? It's me. You know, people that I don't know, sacrifice for their families or maybe even for their country, although I'm not really a big nationalist.
Wait, what do you mean? When you think of a man, don't you think of Pepe the Frog?
Yeah, I think of Pepe the Frog.
And you know, people dressing up.
Green persecution. Green persecution. Yes,
that's what I think of when I think of a man. I mean,
brigading surveys about discrimination. Ooh.
Yes.
Oh, definitely.
Absolutely. So quibble over. Now, here's the thing, though. In the adult world, and this is why, you know, I look at these guys and I think of them as children for the most part. Yeah. Even the ones
although that's insulting to children.
And that's insulting to children. Yeah, children have an excuse for doing and saying dumb things. They're children, right? You don't expect them to always be on their guard as to what they say or how they say it or what they do or, you know, what tree they climb or what socket they put a fork into. You know, but these I'm sorry.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
He's gonna say it. Trigger warning.
Does that? I hope that doesn't, you know, bother you too much. But these retards, you have a point that you want to bring up about something that you perceive to be an unequal, is in some way unequal treatment of men or unequal treatment of boys or whatever. So what do? You run to your nearest MP and say, I wouldn't rape you, bitch.
Yeah, or I wouldn't even.
Or yes, I wouldn't even rape you. I added the bitch for effect.
Well, yes.
He didn't say bitch, but yeah, no, maybe write a letter, maybe ask to meet them, maybe go to that office, maybe call that office, maybe organize a properly worded
Wait, you mean
petition.
actually get out of your chair?
Actually get up off your fat.
Sorry about the background noise.
Carl is stalking me.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, he admitted in the article to the Sunday Times that he was trying to be condescending and provocative. He had no interest in actually trying to be an honest broker. He was doing it to be, as he said, childish. And he was doing it for the entertainment of his fans. The other point that, I wanted to talk about a point Thomas makes, but I don't want to move off of this too quickly. So just to come back to me and Thomas's point later on.
Sure, I'm just going to finish with this. Wasn't that the time that he came out and said publicly and and that he liked being childish or something like that? I think that was around the same time.
Some words to that effect. I'm not quite sure exactly what he said.
Somewhere, but whatever. Okay, so let's move on to Thomas.
Yeah, so what Thomas follows up with when the audience cheers is he says, that's disgusting. Mm-hmm. That's a disgusting thing to say to somebody who has survived sexual assault. And what you are saying to the movement is that we think it's okay to use a phrase like, I wouldn't even rape you, to women as you're part of our movement. And I just think, I know that Thomas has said that women who were victims of rape and sexual assault have contacted him about thanking him for trying to stand up in a room full of that was that biased for basically them in that moment. And also that women had to leave the conference hall because they didn't feel safe with men cheering, I wouldn't even rape you, or booing when it was tried to be brought up. And so, the conference organizers, that's on them.
Yeah.
They knew what Carl was. And if they didn't say to their audience, can you imagine not being part of this world and just going to what you think is a conference about, supposed to be about Jesus not being real, and you are yourself a survivor, or someone who is, or even if you don't and you just have empathy as a human being, And then that is what you're presented with, without any warning, without any, you know, notification of what the content of the program was going to be.
Yeah, no,
that's on them.
Well, that's
insane. And not just that, like, to me, I remember when Atheism Plus first, you know, rolled around, like back when feminism started, you know, coming into the atheist movement, right? You remember
when it was
back
becoming
then,
more
right?
explicitly feminist,
and that all Rebecca Watson and all this stuff. And you know what? Today I'm sitting here thinking we needed that. We needed women to stand up and say enough is enough. You know why? Because of shit like this. Because how many years has it been? It's been about 7 years now.
No, we've been at this for almost
7, 8 years now. It's been 7, 8 years. What the hell has changed? Nothing. Look at this. You've got a room full of people thinking that it's okay, that it's publicly okay. Like you're out in public, and that it's okay to do this. Like, I really, you know, for as much as I disagreed with a lot of things like Rebecca Watson said and P.Z. Myers and all that back then or whatever, like, I don't know what their views are now, but back then, right? Like, for as much as I disagreed with all that stuff, you know what? It is needed. These conversations are needed because this is unacceptable. And this is why Christians and other religious people point at atheists and go, you know, without God, you don't have any morality.
Well, because I'm sorry to say, most of these guys don't.
Yeah.
You know, it's.
Yeah, but they're right. And see, you're making the religious people, you know, like they have a point. They're saying you're reprehensible as an atheist. Well, you know what? I can't disagree with you at this point.
I gotta say, yeah, that's why I don't use the label anymore.
Yeah, no, I don't. I really don't want to use that label anymore.
But even back then, I'm not disingenuous, and I'm not, you know, trying to trick people or whatever, like these guys try to do with their little word games and shit.
Yeah.
I understood what these feminists were saying, right? I understood it then, and I understand it now, and I understand the idea. I'm not down with what the Atheism Plus people did on their server
or whatever,
right,
the chat thingy. Yeah.
Their chat thing.
Well, there
right?
are plenty of things I don't agree with, but my point is that there needs to be these conversations because nothing has changed. It's been like 8 years. Hitchens is dead now, and nothing has changed.
Well, look, the problem is, I think that atheists, see, for all of the atheists that tell you atheism is just not believing in God, there aren't enough people going, well, that's fucking stupid.
Actually, can I revise my last statement that nothing is?
No, you can't. No, that's it. It's done. It's etched in stone. It's etched in YouTube.
I would like to revise the statement. Yes, actually, a lot of things have changed, or well, maybe not a lot, but a couple of things have changed. It's more racist.
Oh yeah.
It's more sexist. It's more, no, it is. It is. It's a lot more sexist. It's a lot more racist. Okay, since 8 years ago. And in my opinion, it's gotten worse.
Can I build on that point?
Yes.
Sorry, just to add to that. You know, 8 years ago or whatever, this was before my time, and I've been active in YouTube atheism for about 3 years now. Mm-hmm. The demographics were still heavily skewed toward the status quo warriors when Atheism Plus started. And I don't know what the tactics were, and maybe it didn't work out. But what we have now is a more organic, diverse set of atheists on YouTube. And we have a counter narrative. We have an honest presentation of our views rather than the stereotype and the straw men that those who have been controlling the discourse have described us as being. And so now I think, you know, I'm going on and on about this first and second wave atheism. I think the first wave atheism is that status quo. It's basically, you know, it's white guy liberation.
Yeah.
Well,
it's prayers in schools. I'm almost done. It's like prayers in schools and other sort of secular legal issues. They aren't lived issues.
Yeah.
Right? But if you're coming out in the Black community, or you're a trans woman or trans man or whatever, there are intersectionalities of your experience of becoming a secular person and an atheist that needs space in our community and our conferences. And that means those people need to feel welcome and included. And so the racism and the misogyny and these, you know, okay, even the Islamophobia, I understand critiquing Islam as an idea, but it moves on to just the people themselves. We don't say the things about Christians because they have crazy ideas that people say about Islam and Muslims. So let's debate the ideas. And because there are a lot of people who come from Muslim countries that are secular. So we can't judge someone's what's in their head by what their skin tone is. And that needs to be the atheist community. And I sadly don't see Seth Andrews looking to have any interest in taking up this argument. I don't see the people that we saw as our leaders when I came on and was watching Matt Dillahunty and the Atheist Experience and watching their videos and learning. They are supportive, but they're not going to be vocal. And so we can't look to them. We have to keep speaking up. And I think if Mythicist Milwaukee has done anything positive, for me at least, it's really connected me to progressive podcasters. And they don't know what's going on YouTube. So many people were shocked and had never heard of this, and it was unaware that this was happening in the name of skepticism. So it's been a massive shit show, but as a consequence of throwing shit at everybody. A lot of people have paid attention and a lot of people are talking. And I'm hoping that through that we can network with people like Eli Bosnick, with Thomas Smith, maybe with Tom from Cognitive Dissonance. And I know they have their shows and they have their income streams and they have to be careful about what they do in their mainstream podcasts. But, you know, Eli is a great advocate for social justice outside of what he does in his podcasts. And I would like to see more people do crossover stuff, more YouTube podcasting, progressive, secular crossover content, and start to share our audiences and start to build a conscious movement that is meant to be inclusive within atheism, instead of just looking for the status quo and hoping that the leaders will imply that when they give their talks. I'm done.
I think Joe was thinking of starting a show like something similar like that about atheism, but not. Well, no. If I remember, you said you wanted to talk about atheism, but not in the way that like mainstream white dudes are talking about atheism.
Yeah, the angry white dudes. Let me, because I want to talk about this for just a second, right? Lance in the chat says, Carl, Hitler must have escaped to South America. Carl must have escaped to South America. Benjamin had the victory at MythCon, unfortunately. He's the one with the influence on what it means to be a secular person. I'm going to again quibble, because I don't think that Carl or people like what's that German Kraut, all of these other guys, right? All of the usual suspects. They're not atheists.
No, Jordan. Well, look at Jordan Peterson, right? He's not an atheist. We know this, right? He's not. Very proud of his religion, and blah blah blah. And they flock to him like a cult, and you can just tell that none of these people are secular. They're not atheists in any way, shape, or form. They are searching so badly for anything to follow, anything to believe in, anything. And so they've even started calling themselves atheist Christians or Christian atheists or whatever.
They're culturally Christian. As if religion is somehow divorced from culture.
Because I remember
as if it isn't already that.
It out like all the screenshots and stuff, and I nearly fell over when
I saw this.
You didn't know
this, Kristie? Yeah, you didn't know this. Okay, look.
Wait, let me make Kristie like sigh again, because on the same.
Should I leave the room?
No.
Just asking. Asking questions.
It's gonna turn into an asthma session.
No, on the same Reddit, like it's on Jordan Peterson's Reddit page, right? All this, Christian atheism shit. But not only that, there are people literally, and I'm not kidding, this is not a joke, calling him a prophet. A real life prophet. They're quoting like lines from the Bible. They're showing, like, they're making this effort to prove he's a prophet.
But look, here's the problem.
I swear to God, my brain has now dribbled out my ear.
I'm gonna be sick.
Yes.
Here's the problem. And I said this, I'm sorry, people, but I told you so. I keep telling you so. I feel like Cassandra. That's what it is.
That's my line.
I knew you were the same person, and I'm married.
That's right. We're the same person.
I'm married.
Twitter inside joke.
I keep saying things, and people keep going, "Fuck you, Joe," and then it happens, and then they're like, "I hate you, you bastard. Why didn't you tell us?" And I'm like, "Oh, fuck."
Now you know the pain of my existence. Whenever something goes wrong, Joe looks at me and goes, "Told you so."
When Atheism Plus was a thing, I was down with some of what they were saying. I mean, I couldn't and wouldn't support how they went about what they were trying to do, right? But I kept telling people, look, atheism is more than just, well, there's no God. Because how the fuck did you get there? The thing I find with these guys, a lot of them, is that they try and divorce words from the context in which they occur. And like, you can't freaking do that. That doesn't work that way. It never does. That's why Kekistan is not a freaking joke. That's why if you tell me you're an atheist and all that means is that you don't believe in God, and you're not an atheist. I'm sorry, but you're actually not an atheist. You've just secularized whatever you believe in, and you're believing that instead. You're that stereotypical angry Christian, right? The lapsed Catholic. That's what you are. If you arrive at I've been an atheist pretty much my entire life. Probably since I was like 13, I think, that my mom said, "Do you want to go to church on Sunday with me?" And I said, "You're giving me a choice? No, I'm not going to church. No." And the thing is that I arrived at my atheism because I thought about it. And that thought process, right? That, I'm not a scientist, but that scientific process, right? That questioning things and trying to figure things out and needing evidence and wanting evidence to support what you believe or what you think, that is what makes you an atheist. Otherwise, you're just mad at God. You see what I'm saying? And if you're just mad at God, then yeah, you just pick another one. Yeah. You know, Carl or something. Give him your money. You know.
Can I come back on this point? I've been actually holding my hand in the shape of a P to remember the word Pyrrhic victory on this idea. I have, because otherwise I listen to the conversation and I start to follow it and I forget my point. So I've worked out these hand signals.
I do that constantly.
So that I don't forget what I wanted to say. Yeah, Carl might have won that battle in the room. Right? He might have walked out feeling really good and his sycophants followed him and, you know, cheered him on and told him how great he did. And he might have actually, yes, provoked Thomas into having a reaction of empathy for a victim of sexual assault.
Yeah.
That's, you know, he triggered him, right? Wow. Mm-hmm. But you know, my target wasn't ever Carl. You know, I talked to I tried to contact the organizer. I tweeted at the organizers about his problems to alert them. And then they made a public statement in August saying they weren't going to change their lineup. Mm-hmm. Well, if they're going to stand with Carl, then I'm going to make sure people know that they are standing with him. Mm-hmm. And so for the organization and also for the wider atheist movement, Carl drew more attention to the problems of YouTube atheism than we ever could by complaining to people about it. Because we've been on the air, you know, discussing the problems and trying to take these people on for months, years, right? Mm-hmm. And so yeah, he might have won in that room, but it might be a Pyrrhic victory because it might actually focus more of a spotlight on these problems and have more people coming out to challenge them and expose their bad thinking to a wider audience. So, I mean, we don't know how it's all going to play out yet, but I know Mythicist Milwaukee, because of their decisions, they now have a bad relationship with Seth Andrews, with Aaron Raw, with Eli Bosnick, with Tom from Cognitive. You know, you just go down the list of, and not just those people directly, but people who like those people. So, you know, the conference itself, I think, is going to be in big trouble going forward because now it's going to be tied to this applauding line, "I wouldn't even rape you."
Yeah, and it's not MythCon anymore. It's Shitcon, like Joe says. You know, he's like, it's not MythCon. Let's call it what it is, Shitcon. You know.
So where do they go? You know, and maybe I haven't checked their Twitter feed. I should, to see if they've issued a public apology to survivors of sexual assault and rape for what happened in that room.
If they did, I haven't seen it at all, so I don't know. Yeah. But what I do know is that it really was a mess for them more than anything else.
Yep.
You know, and I don't, like, for me personally, I would never want to go to one of their cons. After hearing what went on and after seeing the clips of the videos and shit, I wouldn't want to go there.
Look.
Not if you freaking paid me.
Look. Everybody's always on about, right, how, and there is an issue, right? I'm not saying that there isn't. About cops and profiling and fucking people up and shooting people they shouldn't be shooting.
Yeah.
And, you know, all of that stuff. All of that stuff is true. I don't know what the numbers are. I don't care to know. I think it's vaguely depressing. But the thing of it is that cops, they do have a hard job. You shouldn't do it if you can't. And you can't use that as an excuse to shoot people or hurt them. That's, you know, that's not what I'm saying either. But what I'm saying is that I understand how it is, because I've had family that were cops, right? And I understand how it is.
Understanding isn't condoning.
It isn't no.
Right.
And I understand how scary it's got to be. I mean, in the service, I've had some inkling of an experience of how this is. Worried about, you know, that group of people over there.
Yeah, are they going to kill me?
Are they going to shoot me? Are they going to, you know, all that stuff? And by the way, it has happened that people ambush police.
Oh yeah.
They call in fake 911 calls and things like that. So I get it. I get the fear. I get
that happened,
you know,
like a year and a half or 2 years ago, didn't it?
And what happens actually a lot more often than what you think. But I understand why they go, look, if you wearing this kind of clothes, if you're, you know, hanging out with this kind of person, if you're doing this kind of thing, I'm going to assume that you're one of these people.
Wait, so
because, you know, my life is at stake. You know, whether it's not okay to just shoot people. You're supposed to. They have actually procedures for this kind of shit.
No, I know.
That's why they roll deep when they roll down to the Bronx and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because you're not, with more people, you're not supposed to choke somebody to death. There's supposed to be enough people to hold you down.
Yeah.
Right? That's how it's supposed to work.
Not if you're Eric Garner.
Not if you're Eric Garner, yes. So I get that. I get the idea of profiling. And that's where you have a problem now.
Yeah.
Because after the whole smear campaign that Crout and T tried with us.
Oh, with not just us, with a bunch of.
Well, yeah, but he did it with a bunch of people.
A bunch of
S-Jews. Now I have a free hand, because now I'm going to say I don't even know these two guys. I don't know them from Adam.
Who?
These two, the guys that organized MythCon.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know who the fuck they are. I haven't read their Twitter feeds. I haven't read anything they've written. If they've written anything, I haven't watched their YouTube videos. I don't know shit about them. And I'm not going to check. And I'm not going to check because you put Carl and you were going to put Amos Yee.
And that speaks volumes.
And that tells me literally everything I need to know about you. All I need to know is that I don't want to be associated with you. And, you know, whether or not it's fair or it's not, you know what? It's a thing. It's a thing. And it's something that even this guy, Fain, said in his video, right? It's bad optics. You're right. It's bad optics to hang out with Nazis. It's bad optics to give, you know, someone like Richard Spencer, like roaming millennial. I'm sorry if it's sexist. I am. But she might as well have sucked the chrome off a trailer hitch for the blowjob she gave that guy.
Oh, when she interviewed Richard Spencer?
Yeah. I'm sorry if it's sexist, feminist. I am. But this is how you know I'm not actually like a feminist, you know. I'm just saying. I'm down. He's a
feminist in training, and he's getting an F for that.
Yes, I'm down with all the right stuff and all that good stuff.
I think what you could say was she gave him the verbal equivalent of a blowjob.
Yes.
There you go.
That's a feminist way to make that joke.
Okay,
there you go.
Okay, thank you.
See, we're learning.
It hurts. Yeah. Yes. That
Dick Coughlin can call me anytime.
You poor guy. All right, so yes. So I'm sorry, but if you do that, because that's not, I mean, there's a famous interview that Hitchens did, and he's got his problems. But back in the 90s,
oh, the one that I put up
did
of him,
an interview with a white supremacist, a KKK guy or something.
he did an interview with a white supremacist, and his father came on too on a telephone call, and that's how you interview a Nazi. Right?
Yeah.
He didn't let anything slide. He was like, well, wait a minute. Like, he wouldn't.
So you think black people are inferior
and
or whatever,
kept,
that kind of
like,
stuff.
the guy kept obfuscating, right? And kept trying to talk his way around it. And Hitchens just wouldn't let him do it. And for as many problems as I do have with Hitchens, that's the way you do.
Yeah,
like,
you don't go, what do you mean ethnic cleansing peacefully?
And for the modern day version of that kind of interview, I would suggest Pac-Man, if you haven't seen it, he's pretty good at his interview with Richard Spencer, because that was along the same lines, right? He wouldn't let him get away with anything.
That Pac-Man guy is so polite.
I know, but he was really good.
I'm sorry, I couldn't do that.
He was really good with that interview.
Yes, it was a good interview.
Yeah, props to him for that one.
Can I make a point quickly on sort of the related to the cops and the security thing? One of the things that the Mythicist Milwaukee guys, Brian and Sean, sort of claimed persecution over was the fact that when the venue learned of the fact that Carl had been, shouted out at an EDL rally and hadn't condemned the group or distanced themselves, that Richard Spencer called him a great entry point, that he had doxed a woman online, that he had led this campaign of online harassment that resulted in news coverage in the British press. And when they learned that, the venue required that MythCon provide more security. And they were saying, we're being persecuted because we're having to provide more security. Well, now, if you also verify this, that in Yee's interview after he got kicked out of MythCon, what he said happened was he had paid for a ticket. This guy who has just gotten refugee status or asylum status bought a ticket, went to the conference and actually attended the first session and was recognized. And then the conference organizers and security approached him and security escorted him out. And also in that room, that rowdy crowd, women feeling like they had to leave the room because they didn't feel safe with that cheering and jeering. Mm-hmm. And you don't think that venue should have had that security? Of course they needed that security there. I mean, they actually, having the event proved the point that having extra security was actually a really good idea.
Yeah, I agree. So, I mean, if they're going to complain over that, well, what do you expect when these are the kinds of people that you have invited? I mean, it's on them. It's not like Carl, said, I'm going to speak at your thing. No, he was invited to speak. All of these people were invited by them. So, I mean, this is ridiculous. You can't then turn around and complain about having to hire more security if the people you've invited warrant that kind of thing.
Yeah, and they kicked Yee out. So they have limits. I guess the limits for all the people on the right is sex with children. Milo, now sorry, not Sargon. My retraction, sorry, Yee. Yeah. I'm so used to talking about Carl and in my life, so my default is Sargon, but that's not the case. So yeah, it's just I told you so.
Yeah, yeah. Well, at least they have standards. They draw their lines at kitty diddling, I guess.
Well, yeah. Well, terrific. Exterminating people, not an issue.
No.
Kitty diddling, we don't like that. Wow, how about that?
Yeah.
And to back up your point, I'm not going to lead a boycott of MythCon unless they invite Carl back next time. But, if anyone asked me my opinion, I would say don't go to that conference until there's a change in leadership. Because it's the leadership of that con right now that put him on that stage. And they don't see the problem with that. They thought that would be entertainment. They actually went on a podcast and said that they got Carl on because he was an entertainer. And maybe the tweet about the rape thing, was just a bad bit. And they tried to compare him to Bill Maher and Sarah Silverman. So they knew that was it, and that's why on Twitter I quoted from Gladiator, are you not entertained?
Yeah. Well, this is a question I have, right? Okay, if you're saying Sargon's an entertainer, right? So then that what he's saying is a lot of times full of shit, and he's just doing it for
the entertainment value for his fans.
Yeah. Why would you even have him at this MythCon? And why? Right? Because isn't MythCon supposed to be about mythicism, religion, atheism, and all this, right? I still can't wrap my head around why they had Armored Skeptic, Shoe on Head, and Carl, for instance, talking about feminism and SJWs. What in the holy hell does that have to do?
Here,
no, but
I'll tell you what it does.
What does that have to do?
I'll tell you. I'll tell you what's going on. I'll tell you what's going on.
Oh my God.
I know someone who is exceedingly proud of having dropped out of college not once but twice.
Yes.
Twice. Exceedingly proud of this. And this is, and I'm sorry to say, little shit lords and Kekistanis, this is what you're known for. You're known for a lack of rigor, a lack of intellectual heft. I mean, look, man, I've been through
not
college.
only that. I mean, they had. Look, I'm sorry, but I gotta say this. They had Armored Skeptic up there. The man doesn't know how to read sources. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. He just rambles on and throws in like SJW, feminist, leftist, and thinks he's made a fucking point. Look, what in the holy? I'm sorry. I'm look, just like I'm bewildered by the stupidity.
It's sophistry, right? Look. The bottom line, the reality of the situation is this. A lot of these people, college dropouts, not bright people, and you know what? That's not even the dig. That's not even the insult. Don't even feel insulted by that. There are plenty of black people, Hispanic people, brown people, yellow people, blue people, everywhere who are not great at doing hefty reading and, you know, citing sources or looking for sources or doing research. Lots of people.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have a problem with that. But
then if you're gonna make videos pontificating on something, maybe.
Yeah. See, but there's a robust body of literature on autodidacticism, and there's a heavy strain of it in American academics, at least prior to the establishment of the modern university system, right?
You should define what autodidact means.
Oh, yes. Someone who schools themselves is essentially what it is.
Someone like what Aaron Ra did.
Right. Aaron Ra is an autodidact. He's not by training, by formal educational experience in a university, a geneticist, right? Or an archaeologist, or whatever the hell he is. Right? He studies, you know, he studies the history of species.
Doesn't he do anthropology and stuff?
And maybe, I don't know. Now I don't know, but back then he didn't. Right. And anyway, the point is, if you pick up enough books on a particular subject and rigorously go through them, right? Yeah. Devote the time that a university student would, right? A graduate student, a postgraduate student, 10, 15 years. That's autodidacticism. Right. And there's a robust history of it to some extent, because we didn't know a lot 300 years ago, and it was easier to become a doctor, and it was easier to become, you have a saw. Yes, he's the surgeon. Yeah. Now it's a little different. But that's not the problem. The problem is too many of these people want ideology, not something that's rigorously researched. And I talked about this before a little bit, the difference between founded belief and unfounded belief. Because I'm an atheist, but I believe those scientists. I believe some of them because I am not going to sit through tons of meteorological data to come to the conclusion that global warming is a thing.
Yeah.
Right? That is why we have a society structured the way it is, right? Where there are experts that do nothing but that. But then you have these other people who don't study politics, who don't study sociology, who don't study culture or history or anything. But they got a constitution in their pocket, so they know some shit or other. I'm not sure what they know, but they know it for a fact.
Can I tell another story related to Mythos Milwaukee and the Godless Engineer, and also make your point?
Yes, absolutely.
Right. I'm doing a series on the historical Jesus, because I think if you just look at the evidence, this idea that there was never a person in history called Jesus whose life the stories are based on, and then later on were exaggerated and became mythicized and became part of a religion. And so I'm doing a series to kind of counter that, and my current video that I'm working on is about James, the brother of Jesus.
Right.
And I posted a comment about how I just finished the script and the audio on it. And Godless Engineer sort of showed up again and said, in this letter that Paul says where he refers to James as being the brother of our Lord, or the brother of Jesus, depending on the translation, he is using a word that in Greek has a lot of different meanings. And we started to have a debate about the word, the brother of Jesus. And he posted a picture of Greek and then how the word brother can mean, like you would in English. It can mean your little brother. It can be used metaphorically to talk to somebody that you feel like he's my brother from another mother kind of thing, you know. And I said, okay, but I'm not just talking about Paul here. You can see that James is listed as a brother of Jesus in Mark and in Matthew. Jerome mentions it. Eusebius mentions it. Josephus actually talks about when he was executed by the high priest. And so, you know, you look at all of these times that it's been said, not just this little thing. And he just kept going, but it's a vague word. We don't know what it means. Like, yeah, but you have to look at the context. And he just kept going back to this talking point of, you can't know what Paul meant by that. So therefore you can't make a conclusion based on that particular passage, plus all the other passages where he's mentioned, even in the Gospel of Thomas, which is part of the Nag Hammadi library, not discovered until 1945. It also mentions James the Just, and that James the Just is also tied to James, the brother of our Lord, if you look across these texts like Acts and the other texts that I mentioned. So I am an autodidact on these issues. That's why I hold the position I do. It's because it's a conclusion I've reached based on my research. And what he's been presenting me is just a talking point from the Mythicist Handbook. And when I'm presenting him with other evidence, all he can do is repeat that talking point. So, and I also tried linking him to a really great site that's now kind of offline. You can kind of capture it in archives, called The Rejection of Pascal's Wager, which was turned into a book, which is phenomenally well-researched stuff. It was part of the stuff that helped me go away from Christianity, you know, like a long time ago. And then also, I'd read part of a thesis on James the Just, the brother of Jesus, and the sections on like where he's mentioned in the Gospels, where he's mentioned outside, but in the Christian writings and in Josephus. And so, you know, I know what I'm talking about. I've done research, and this is based on a body of research I've built up over a lifetime. And that's the kind of stuff you need to do. You know, I mean, I understand people find the mythicist position attractive, but the whole point of my series is to ask questions that can't be answered by talking points. And it seems to be a good approach. So I'm done now.
It's a good approach if you like low views, and not that I'm saying that it would be uninteresting.
No, that's true. It's highly nerdy, my series. It's so nerdy.
So many people, they need everything pre-digested, right? I mean, well, let's invite Amos Yee. He's an atheist. And then 2 days later, oh shit, kitty diddly, huh? Oh, well, maybe you should fucking research that. Maybe you should know who the hell you're headlining. Maybe you know. I mean, it's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence that back 8 years ago, yeah, and you're not familiar with this, right? About 8 years ago, 7 years ago, right? The MGTOW dudes were always on about this thing they called Briffault's Law.
Oh God!
You remember that?
Shoot me in the
head.
Okay,
they were on about this Briffault's Law thing, right? And so I went and got the original.
Sorry, what's Briffault's? What's Briffault's Law for those of us who are uninitiated?
About how women will always. It's about how women will always gynocentric, and they'll always go for the bigger, better deal.
Let me look it up here so we can quote it.
Yes, quote the thing that they used to quote.
It sounds like rational choice theory.
It's amazing. Okay, here. Briffault's Law, this is quote, maintains that the female, not the male, determines all the conditions of the animal family. Briffault embellishes this truism by asserting that intimate relationships between men and women result from a calculated cost/benefit analysis by women. That's
and a man came up with this, right?
Yeah.
Well, wait. Oh, but this is the funny part.
Here's the part, right? Here's the part.
This is the funny part.
Here's the thing, right? So
But by the way, no one talks about Briffault's Law anymore, and I wonder why.
And I wonder why. Yeah. So I was intrigued by this because I know that there are things that are biologically rooted in right, that are that, right?
Yeah.
That come from the, us being animals of a particular kind.
Right.
I get that. But I also know that we have some of us have fucking brains that work. And so I went and I said, well, who's this? And who's this Briffault guy?
Right.
So I went and looked it up, and there's a condensed version of his book, of his 3-volume work. I'm sorry, not book.
And each volume is
like, each volume is about 800 or so, 900 pages or so.
Yeah, it's.
So it's a condensation of it, and I cannot find anyone that actually put the quote in the proper context within which the original author put it. The original author, I won't go so far as to say he was a feminist, but he certainly was. His book, his work, the Mothers, is essentially a laudatory book, a laudatory set of books about the role of women in society.
Right, and it's not a negative.
And he doesn't have a negative view, right?
Yeah.
And so I went and got the entire set and read the entire fucking thing.
And good luck finding it, because
it's hard to find.
Oh my God, yeah.
It took me quite a while to find it. And then I read the 2.5 or so pages that were relevant to the quote.
Right.
And that was the end of Briffault's law.
Yeah, because he put out a video then laughing at these idiots, saying, by the way, did you know that the dude who wrote this actually was an advocate for women? He wasn't saying this thing in a negative way. You people have taken it out of context. Here's the actual context of it, blah, blah, blah. And they all stopped using Briffault's law. Amazing.
Nice one. Oh, they're free speech, but they're free speech.
Yeah, free speech, yes.
To take everything out of context, but free speech.
And this is not, and this is a constant. This strain of anti-intellectual, and you don't gotta go to this is the thing that they conflate all the time. You don't gotta go to a university to be smart and well read and know what you're talking about. You just gotta somebody in one of the videos today or yesterday was like, Carl doesn't talk about things that he doesn't know about. Like, motherfucker, during Brexit, that nigga's every sentence started with, "I'm not an economist, but."
Yeah.
He could not stop.
No. Wait, he looked up the word community so he could talk about it.
Yeah. He looked up the word community so he could talk about it.
He literally, I don't know if you heard about this, Kristie, but he was doing a video or a hangout. It was with Carlton T and a whole bunch of other people. And he literally says, well, wait a minute. He goes, I looked up the word community so I could talk about it. I'm like, oh my God.
You had to look up a word my 9-year-old knows.
I looked up the word community.
That's amazing.
Well, it's not that he's older, it's that he's living.
Yeah, it's not that he's older. Fuck. And this strain is a constant. I have, after 8 years of seeing these guys, and mind you, I have always been against circumcision, which is one of the issues that the men's rights people and the manosphere generally have a hard on about.
No pun.
You see what I did there?
No pun intended.
I hate puns. Okay, so anyway, and I'm with a lot of these things. I've seen some of the unfairness in family courts. Yeah. I've seen it, right? I've worked in New York City with lawyers on some of these cases. So it's not, so I'm sympathetic. I always was to the real issues, not to the, they're taking our job shit.
Yeah.
That's stupid. But the real
platforming me.
But this strain of anti-intellectual thought, for lack of a better word, is a constant. It's a constant. It's almost as if it's almost a fetish. Like, because the left is the elitist left, and they're the they run the universities, and have you ever sat in on a meeting for a department? Yeah, it's not that. Trust me. And because they have this, they always run afoul of these minor problems.
Okay, can I jump in here, because there's some idiot in the chat, T Fish or whatever. He's going on and on about mysticism, whatever. he's going on and on about Mythicist Milwaukee and how skeptics can debunk, you know.
But they didn't.
You know, they can only debunk supernatural claims.
Really?
No. He's saying like that's what.
Oh,
that's what we say, right?
Yeah.
I want. This is a quote from mythicistmilwaukee.com. Mythicist Milwaukee strives to contribute to a world free from religious oppression and bigotry. So can I ask again, what in the holy hell does feminism and SJWs have to do with religious oppression and bigotry? And by the way, the end bigotry is tacked onto religious, right? It's not separate. So, I mean, look, I get that you want to say, well, skeptics can question everything. That's not what this con was about, you noodle.
Okay, can I just be a dick for a minute?
Yeah, you can block him. It's your channel. It's your channel.
John Doe says, eats popcorn. What's the rest? Watching the hole digging.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Shut up, woman.
Do it from the sidelines.
I love that one. Shut up, woman. No, I won't shut up because I have the mic and you don't.
Yeah, I gotta say,
Mythicist Milwaukee. The whole thing of MythCon is it's the Myth Information Conference.
There you go. Yes.
Myth information is a play on myth because the whole founding principle of it is that Jesus didn't exist. Just last year, they had Bart Ehrman and Robert Price debating whether or not there was a historical Jesus. They're really tight with Richard Carrier. They've had him on because he has this idea that, you know, there was no physical person named Jesus, if I'm understanding him correctly, like all from Paul. So, yeah, this isn't a skeptics conference. This is a Jesus didn't exist conference. So again, why bring these people? And the answer to that is in the podcast, which you can listen to on my channel, or go to Callie Wright's podcast, The Gaytheist Manifesto. Her original interview, which I mirrored she very kindly allowed me to mirror it, has the guys on saying that, you know, this is the future. They actually have a tweet. I have a picture of it saying this is the future of cons, of skeptic cons, and they had their lineup. They actually posted that, and I retweeted it and said, this is not going to age well.
Oh, this is so cool. I didn't know I could do that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't know I could do that.
He's just made
Gray Knight and Beach moderators.
Yeah, so congratulations, Beach and Gray Knight. You are now moderators.
And don't ever say I never gave you nothing.
Be responsible with your power.
All right, I'm sorry. So yes. So these guys are I don't know. I have to defer to experts here because I don't speak Greek or read the ancient Greek or whatever, or let alone the Aramaic, right? I got Spanish, English, and some French. That's it. So I'm more than happy to listen to the people that do this. But if that's your shtick, if that's your thing, right? If yours con is about the literature and the scholarship on the issue of whether or not Jesus was real,
yeah, then
yeah. But the problem is apocalypse.
Yeah, everybody's out to buck now, so everybody's out for it. So
well, the guys seem very familiar with Sargon's content. They said, you know, they'd watched him a lot, and I get, you know, and they also someone said they did an interview where they said something about like institutional racism not being a problem. I think I'm quoting that correctly, but I will defer. I will be corrected. So they're in that alt-right bubble. Which is why I don't think they understood the consequences of what they were getting into and what they were defending and the decisions that they were making.
Yeah.
And can I also say really quickly, because I want to make this point definitely before the end of the Hangout, is I want to thank Akkadian Times for the role they played in getting information out to people. Having access to the blog and being able to aggregate the information and aggregate videos in one place and document it with outside sources. You know, a lot of us in this bubble, we know these things exist because we've seen the videos or we watch response videos or we've been on Hangouts or heard Hangouts where it's been talked about. But we don't really have a non-YouTube record. And when the organizers came out saying, look, we are sticking with our lineup, I knew it was going to be vital to document, not just say Carl did these things, but let people watch what he did. And that's why when any time anyone complained about I was slandering him, I'm like, how can I slander him with his own words? How can I slander him with his own videos? I'm just showing people what he's done in the past, and you forgive him. right? Because you don't see his flaws.
That's
so it was vital.
How can it be slander if it's right? It's right
look,
there.
Well, it's I actually, from a legal point of view, I don't know. I'd have to check the case law, but
it would be libel.
Yeah, but from a layperson's point of view, he said this. You know, people keep telling me you're trying to smear Carl. Like, I don't gotta do that, motherfucker. I don't.
Yeah.
He has said stupid shit time and again for years.
We're just putting the pieces together. We just put the pieces together in one place. That's what Akkadian Times was allowed me to do. So thank you.
And we're
Akkadian. I wish I had that thing that Kraut has that makes the echo.
Oh, the echo.
The echo. Akkadian Times says you're welcome. My site is staying up.
And Kristie's like the star of that website.
Is our star. That's right.
Yeah.
And Kristie is going to keep, if she wants to, obviously, going to keep writing as much as she wants to, as much as she needs to.
Yeah.
This is not going to change anytime soon.
Kristie, you've got like free reign on that website.
More or less.
Yeah, pretty much. Because I mean, your articles, Jesus Christ.
Oh my God, do people hate you? Wow.
Oh yeah, I know that. That's just my comment section on public. That's all that is. That's what get filtered off of my channel in public. So yeah.
Like, we don't even need to see that you've actually written an article. All we need to do is look at the hits for that day.
Yeah.
And if it spiked through
she wrote something.
Yeah, we're like, yeah, Kristie wrote something.
And how sad is it? Let me say this and one more thing. How sad is it that this is a news website, right?
Yeah, it is.
I aggregate content. Granted, it's left leaning for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. When the conservative establishment decides to put out shit that doesn't include lizard people and FEMA camps and shit like that, I will be more than happy. And I have included on occasion articles that I think are important for people on the left to read from people on the right, from some of these websites. And but the thing is, how sad is it that on a regular basis, when it's just the news, like the traffic is moderate.
Yeah.
But then when it's drama, boom.
Well, yeah, because
when someone,
that's what everyone's interested in.
You're a skeptic and you're interested in Days of Our Lives more than you're interested in, oh shit, global warming is killing us.
Or he may nuke
Here's the
Korea
science.
Or something.
Or you may, or asshole president wants to nuke a fucking entire country.
Well, I think a lot of it too, people in the progressive community who, are interested in this stuff. I'm getting a lot of feedback again.
Oh, hold on.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Hold
actually.
On. Okay. I shall fix.
Are you futzing with the settings again?
No, I'm not futzing.
You're futzing again with the settings. Stop futzing with the settings.
Okay, well, anyway, I was just going to say that I thought that having it aggregated in one place allowed people, and again, there were things that I linked to articles from The Atlantic and Newsweek, for instance, on the one about the Pakistani flag. And there were videos that I also used from people that the people hadn't maybe seen before. And then especially once Seth Andrews was made aware of it, he watched the Michael Rowlands video, and I don't know if it was through that site or another link, but certainly other people, I'm sure, came to see that. I'm talking now because you guys are muted, and I don't want there to be dead air. But if I have to go on for a little bit longer, it's going to start getting awkward because I'm your guest and I can't end the hangout.
I just muted it for a few minutes.
Just giving you the bandwidth.
That's better. That's better. I think I covered okay.
Yeah, no, and you can shrink the window down.
No, I can't.
There you go.
No, I can't.
Yeah, and this is Thomas Williams says this is why trolls should be kicked out of any discussion, and I agree.
Well, that's what I'm getting at when you to this point about autodidacticism, right? Look, Pakistani jackasses, we've already had this discussion. Is fascism good? We've had it. You know how I know we've had it? Because there are about 50 bazillion motherfucking books on it. There are, you can learn. Did you know that the Nazis were addicted to crystal meth?
Yeah.
that was developed in Japan.
Yeah.
That was how they kept their soldiers going.
Well, that's how they did the Blitzkrieg.
During blitzkriegs and during a significant part of the war. I didn't know that, but you know what? I looked it up, and a historian knew that shit, and they happen to have written a book about it. That's amazing.
Well,
right?
there was this one guy I was arguing with. This was like a couple months ago, I think, and we were arguing on Twitter about, you know, platforming, you know, people like Richard Spencer and this and that, and he was like, yeah, but you know, don't you want to know what their beliefs are and whatever? And I said to him, I said, you're an idiot. I mean, there are volumes upon volumes upon volumes of books and things online that you can go right now and learn about what people like Richard Spencer believe in and why and how they can. And you don't need to platform some jackass to figure this out.
Yeah.
But you're too lazy to go and look up this information for yourself.
And
you know, I wonder if they would be in support of a jihadist being platformed to preach radical, you know, Islam on on college campuses. I wouldn't.
Yeah,
I don't think that's an appropriate place for a college campus for that kind of speech to be given a platform. No.
Yeah, you know, if you're like some white dude who's espousing, you know, getting rid of all the people of color, well, that's okay.
Yeah,
but
there's nothing wrong with that.
Reverse the role, and oh God, we can't have that.
White genocide.
Yeah, we can't have that.
But the thing is that this is the next step after what you say.
Yeah.
When you say this to these people, they're all leftist books. Oh, so we're going with the conspiracy theory of history then.
Yeah. Oh,
and that's
so Fain's in the chat.
Oh, hey, and that's when this
Fain
becomes religion.
Yeah.
That's when this becomes religion, and that's the thing about this that you know, there comes a point where you have to choose what kind of, or no, I'm sorry. You have to choose between being a pseudo atheist and an atheist. By
the way, so Fain, I think Joe mentioned who has the channel Akkadian Times. If you're up for a conversation, he's more than happy to
wait
have you on.
And interview.
Yes, well, that's what I mean.
Like, yeah. Don't say conversation because they get the wrong impression. Right?
I say conversation.
I know, because you're nice.
No, because they're always saying debate. Not everything's a fucking debate.
You know, I'd be more than happy to ask you questions if you'd be more than happy to answer them. I'd be more than happy to be as fair as I can, but that's the extent of it, right? This is not a platform for people to make their dramatic lines in the sand and shit. And I don't play these word games anymore where I chase you around and you try to define shit.
He says, hi, Wooly. I'll set that up. An interview sounds good.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, okay, fair. Dude, I don't even know you, and I don't think anything bad about you or whatever. But, you know.
You can follow me on, if you're not already, I don't know if you're following me on Twitter, but I'll follow you, you follow me, and we'll set something up. So, yeah.
Yeah.
There.
But not right now.
Well, not right now.
No.
Kind of complicated.
Yeah, no, but not only that, like I have stuff that I got to get done.
No, but like later in the week or whatever.
Yeah, later in the week we can do that. Yeah, sure. So yes, there's that thing, right? You got to decide whether or not you're an atheist or you're just pretending and shit. And it's okay if you're just pretending. I tell religious people all the time. I told my own mother, like, look, Mom, you want to believe that shit? Okay, fine. Just don't try to explain it.
Grey Knight suggests to bring him on the Hangout, but we're in this Hangout soon because I know Kristie has to.
I took a nap, I took a nap earlier because I thought we might be up a little bit later, but it's already 1 a.m. and it's a school night, so
you know. Yeah, exactly. So Kristie's got to get to bed, and we have to feed the children.
No. One of them is torn to bits now.
Yeah, before they start eating
each other. She lost an arm. She lost an arm. Her sisters are still gnawing on it.
Okay, cool. So Fain, so we'll set it up in DM.
Yeah, we'll set it up. Yeah, sure.
After I get off here, I'll go follow you, and we'll fix
and
all
so
that up.
Yes.
And by the way, I don't think Fain is a bad person. Just for the record, I don't think he's a bad person. I've listened.
I don't know the guy.
Some of his stuff.
I haven't listened to any of it except for the video that he made today,
Yeah.
and I only listened to part of that.
I don't think he's a bad person.
Here's the thing. So Fain's not in the picture. I've never seen him pictured with the Akkadian flag. So like I said, I know he's upset, but I'm not mad at him back.
Yeah.
I know it's about him because it's about someone that he's close to, but like I don't see this as being between him and me.
Yeah.
At all.
No, Grey Knight says Darwin would be proud of your parenting style. Yes, I believe that he would.
Survival of the fittest.
I believe that he would. Yes.
All right, so I think we'll end
it here. I think we'll wrap up for now.
Yep.
On that bombshell. More drama to come.
Exactly.
Yeah,
there always is. There always is. All right.
All right. So yes. Go visit Akkadian time to shill.
Yeah.
Time to sing and dance for the people.
And don't forget to shill for Kristie too.
Yes. But I don't know them because I just see her avatar on the thing and I never look at
What do you mean?
Oh, it's Kay Winty, right?
Yeah.
Follow Kristie Winters at.
If you type in my name, ignore all of the hate videos and go to channel.
Yes.
And get nerdy with my historical Jesus video series. See what all the fuss is about.
Yes, definitely.
Awesome. And maybe we'll add something about that on the site. It sounds interesting.
For sure.
The site is going to stay largely the way it is. I'm always tweaking stuff. People may have noticed that I switch themes every so often.
Enough alone.
No, I can't. I gotta fuss with shit.
Brand.
And yes, and so that's staying there. So go visit Akkadiantimes.com, bitch, if you want. But keep in mind that as the whim strikes me, I might delete, block, or ban you. Like literally, there's like everybody's like,
if he's PMSing that day.
Yeah, if I stub my toe, it might, or if the kids, left a mess in the downstairs where I watch movies and stuff, I might just delete your ass. I'm just saying.
Transferal of anger, is it?
and it's as the whim strikes me. So when people tell me, well, you did it to him, but you didn't do it to me. Yeah, because I felt like it. It's
capricious. I am not a consistent God.
Exactly.
I'm a capricious God.
Yes, I am a capricious God. Love me.
Love me and despair.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, absolutely. So, subscribe to the channel if you want to hear us talk shit some more.
Yeah.
And every so often, you might be astounded that I know stuff.
And they may be graced by people like Kristie Winters.
And then I might shit my pants on occasion. Who knows?
Oh, who the hell?
I had so much fun, you guys.
I'm glad you
Thank
could come
you for coming on. Yeah, we've been meaning to do this for so long.
Yeah.
And
my channel is still not able to live stream because of that ding by V's.
Stupid.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I think I'll be able to stream. They said in October, and I think it's like the second week of October.
Okay,
so goddamn, I will be doing some live streams as soon as I can.
Get out of YouTube jail.
Yelling at people.
I'm in YouTube jail.
Yes. You're in the YouTube timeout chair.
It's not nice.
Yeah, I don't have that fascination. I don't mind streaming. It's okay to talk to people.
Yeah.
But I don't like if it was not on YouTube and it was just like a conference call. I would fine.
Yeah.
I don't particularly appreciate the singing and dancing part of my job.
Oh, come on.
No, I'm not singing and dancing for you. No. Maybe
get
later.
jiggy with it.
Oh, see now I'm not doing it at all. Now I'm not doing it at all. That's just. It's weirdly parent-like.
Mm.
It's the kind of joke your parents make. Yeah, no, not. Didn't I tell you to stay away from jokes? This whole stream is about staying away from bad jokes.
Oh, shut up.
It is. Oh,
shut up, you.
Do I need to remind you that this is a patriarchy?
Well, it's a bad patriarchy. So.
Wait! I run it. What are you? Wait.
It's failing.
Well,
it's failing.
I sort of run it.
It's failing miserably.
Yeah, I sort of run it on some day. Tuesdays.
Not according to that law. Not according to that law.
Yeah, I know. on Tuesdays and for a little bit on Wednesday morning until it wears off.
Kristie got you there. So.
Yeah, I
It's callbacks. It's all callbacks. This is good comedy, you guys.
Yes, that's why I kept talking. What? You got to keep running when you get shot. You keep running.
Yeah.
All right, so subscribe, share, bitch. I don't care. Oh, that rhymes. Follow Kristie Winters on Twitter. Do you have a Facebook page?
Yes.
Public one, yeah.
Okay. Well, Shill.
Yeah, go to my channel. It's all there. Links and my Patreon link.
And
you said
so
Shill.
yeah, no, Shill. Absolutely. Look,
shameless plug.
If Jordan Peterson is gonna make 70 fucking grand a month,
Oh my God.
some motherfucker somewhere better start paying my website fees.
Yeah, seriously.
Seriously.
So give Kristie and us all your monies.
Yes.
All right.
Oh, and I want
what?
my panda suit.
Oh, for fuck.
Thanks for reminding me, George.
I hate you, George.
Those are my gym jams. I'm wearing them right now. They're my pajamas. I just bought them this week. They're awesome. I love them.
See, but I want a suit.
He wants the actual
panda
suit, so you can go around knocking over little old ladies or something. I don't know.
And taking candy from little kids.
It's not a onesie. It would be better if it was a onesie, but sadly, it's not a onesie. But it also will double as a carnival costume for me in November, which will be the warmest carnival costume I'll have ever had.
That is awesome.
Well, that's kind of cool because the kids, when they do Halloween, they're cold and shit sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, you want to be a fairy? Fairies,
they don't wear parkas.
Fairies don't usually wear parkas.
Tell them to go as a furry instead.
There you go.
Yeah.
We'll get them.
Sure. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. They don't know what the hell that freaking means.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, wait.
They're going to turn 16 and go, Mom, I just learned what a furry is.
Oh, my God.
Why did you let me learn?
Oh, my God.
Darwin said do it.
Oh, all right.
Now walk it off.
So say goodnight, dear.
I'm supposed to say that.
So say it.
What?
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Good night, dear.
Good night, dear.
There you go. See?
People are going to start to talk. I'm just
we
saying.
are married.
Well, yeah, we're all you two are the same person, and I'm married to both of you. Yeah. So Tuesday nights just got a lot more interesting.
No one better tell Richard Carrier any of this.
No,
Richard
don't.
will never find out about this.
Yeah.
He's a little creepy.
Oh, stop it.
A little.
All right.
Just a little.
So,
all right.
Yes, we'll see you guys again on
Thursday.
Yep. All right.
All right.
Oh, and your battery's dying.
Oh, how about that? Good. Have a good night, folks.
Good night.
Bye.